So amid all of the developments surrounding Donald Trump, the Biden campaign is scrambling to calm fears among Democratic donors after last week's debate, insisting the president is staying in the race. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has the very latest.
This morning, the Biden campaign is doubling down as it tries to reassure anxious donors following the president's dismal debate.
Everyone just needs to breathe through the nose for a minute and take a deep breath.
Senior campaign officials addressing hundreds of donors on a conference call last night. The audio obtained by NBC News from someone who was on the call.
The media has spent a ton of time blowing this out of proportion.
He's probably in better health than most of us.
Hoping to calm concerns about his age, the Biden campaign is also out with this new ad.
I know I'm not a young man, but I know how to do this job.
The president's team says internal polling still shows a tight race and that the campaign raised $38 million in just 4 days after the debate. Some campaign advisors are now urging the president to hold more unscripted events.
So that you can see what I've seen with our president.
But during this past weekend at Camp David, multiple sources tell NBC News some Biden family members expressed deep frustration with advisors over debate prep. Former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, now an MSNBC anchor, writing, "It was a bad debate. Biden was bad, but if you're directing your ire at prep, you're not talking about the right things." A source familiar with the president's mood after the debate described him as humiliated, lacking confidence, and painfully aware of his performance's impact. His opponent, former President Trump, also now weighing in on Biden's future in the race.
Well, they say he's not getting out. And they say getting him out is very hard because he has the delegates, he has the votes. And that if he doesn't want to get out, there's not a thing they can do about it.
Peter Baker, what are your latest reports in your discussions with contacts about what people inside the White House, the closest to President Biden, are saying about the debate performance and also the talk about whether or not he should bow out?
Yeah, look, obviously right now the Biden camp is telling us he's not going to bow out, period. Of course, they'll say that right up until the moment he does decide to bow out, if in fact that moment ever comes. It would be silly to indicate that he might be thinking about it, even if he was, right until he makes a decision. A lot of people there are saying it depends on the polls that come out in the next few days, particularly for downstate, down ballot races, whether people in competitive districts are feeling vulnerable as a result or whether they feel like they can still hold on. It also depends on the donors, the people who were on that call that you just referenced a few minutes ago from last night, whether the donors bail and drop off the ticket, drop off the support. And I think that, one Biden person I talked to said, I know what today's decision is. I just don't know what tomorrow's decision is. So I don't think it's a done deal. Now, I don't think it's likely he drops out. I still think it's likelier that he tries to gut it through and makes the case that Donald Trump is worse. All the things we talked about in terms of, being a king and a dictator are the reasons why he should stay in. And there's no other Democrat ready in the wings to come and take his place. But I don't think it's a settled issue yet.
So, Jen, you've worked in Democratic politics for a long time. You know a lot of people in and around the White House. What is your sense of things right now? As Peter says, it still feels unlikely that President Biden would get out of the race, but is that still on the table?
I mean, I think that is, everything's always on the table, yeah. Or there is no table. I don't know what the analogy is, but, there are always options. I think that, they have campaign's done a lot of good in terms of, they're getting a lot of blowback, Candidly, I've said to them, hey, y'all, you're seeming a little harsh. It's like, you know what? We got to create the environment to show that there's pushback here. People should kind of consider that when you're thinking about the campaigns being too aggressive. They need to help create the environment to give the president the room to come back from this. I think what people don't know is, they need to see right now, it's a much surer bet to have someone who's trusted in the job, done a good job as president, continue when we have no idea what happens if he's not the nominee, right? We have just no experience. We don't know. It can seem very West Wingy, or, it might end up like very VP. Like, we don't know. That's not about our actual vice president, but the show. Yes. You just don't know what you're unleashing into the world. And so I think that it's, let's see him. I mean, it also is a pretty big thing to say that the president of the United States isn't up to doing, anything, fill in the blank, right? He's the president of the United States. He's done a good job. So I think now it's to the point, it's like, okay, what does he do? How's he going to show us that he's doing great and, and continuing to do a good job, reassuring people about his ability to campaign? And then what do the polls say? And so, we're still in a kind of a holding pattern, I would say, for the next couple of weeks at least.
Well, it's interesting. I know there's one person who really wants Joe Biden to drop out, and that would be Donald Trump. Chief White House correspondent for the New York Times, Peter Baker, thank you.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.